Hey guys, Nick Carlson here with Dawson Manufacturing, home of the Mulch Mate. This video is going to be all about what to look for on a truck if you're looking to buy one or if you already have one, and the do's and the don'ts and what will and will not work with Mulch Mate. Now, with that said, pretty much anything can be done with a little bit of welding or grinding, but we prefer that not to be the case. So, we got a brand new body here. This is a Redding, and it's probably one of the nicest bodies we've had in our shop to date. We've probably had, I don't know, 100 trucks come through here. And it's really, really sweet. So first and foremost, the Mulch Mate is a 42-inch opening, right? So the floor of the truck to here is 42 inches. That's what this truck is. Really, really nice body. The other thing you want to look for is how large is this back corner post, okay? These are actually really nice. Sometimes you can tell the gauge of the metal by knocking on it. This one's pretty decent. It's actually really nice. The gauge steel is really nice. Sometimes it'll only be about this big. That's not a huge issue. When you mount your plate, you would put 2 bolts in here, and the other 2 you have to put some posts in behind it. Not a real big deal. Another thing to look for is, on this side, we believe this post isn't going to be that big a deal, but if it is, it's not a big deal. Just cut it here, push it back, and weld it so it's flush. The face of this is flush with this back here, and then you just cut and grind off this weld, and it's gone, and you're good to go. A few other things, these marker lights here on the other side where the hinge is going to go, more than likely you'll have to remove these. Not a big deal. Mulch Mate has them built into it, so you're all within DOT spec, okay? So, as we walk around the back here, you've got these hooks. Sometimes these hooks, these are here for tarps, by the way. Typically these hooks aren't in the way. I don't think they're going to be in the way on this truck, so more than likely we're going to leave those. The Mulch Mate typically sits inside here, okay? The hinge mounts, so they're all over the place. They're mounted and welded like wherever people feel like putting them. What I've done in the past is I can either nip this off here and get the plate in place. It just depends on where they lay. I think again this truck is going to be perfect, and we'll show you in the next few videos how it all turns out. Another thing on this other side here, if you don't mind coming around this way. So when you go to put your hinge plate on the side of your truck here, right, you have to look at this face versus this face. And there's a weld here, so we might have to grind that down so that's not a bump, but I can tell you just by feeling it, this surface is out from this surface, I guess, the thickness of a washer. So what I may end up doing is I may end up just putting a couple washers behind the plate to keep that plate perfectly straight up and down at 90 degrees to the truck. You don't want it tilted in, you don't want it tilted out. It all needs to be square with the floor of the truck. So on this side again, we're going to probably want to cut this, move it back, weld it, and again push this light in. And the bracket will probably stand from here, and it's probably going to hang all the way down to here. Okay, so that's an overview of what to look for in your truck. The back side here, it's pretty simple. Typically, you're going to have some kind of a bracket here. It's either going to be in the center or on the side like this guy. The Mulch Mate does have an opening here that allows this to protrude through, so it shouldn't be a big deal at all. One of the other cool things, this company is really awesome because they went with the UHMW liner, which is just going to give you just more longevity. It's kind of like switching your car from regular oil to synthetic. It's going to help it run better and longer, and it'll be, there for you for a very long time. So here's the bed. If you want to step around this way and take a look inside there. So brand new truck. We're going to go ahead and put the liner on the floor and on the walls. And typically when you mount that in here, that makes the surface extremely slick and cuts down on all the adhesion. So this is an awesome bed for all that. Just really helps it out a lot. A lot of times people ask about the weight of the machine and what it adds to the truck. These doors are really, really heavy, and these are smaller. Typically they're 6 inches taller, but this is a lot of weight. So all we're gonna do is knock these pins out and just take them off, and we'll give them back to the customer and just lay them in the bed of the truck. Outside of that, the bumper back here, if you have a hitch style system, you have to determine, is it here? Is the hitch here, or is it pushed back a little bit? Those are some of the things you want to look for when you're looking at the beds and looking at how you're going to mount it. Some guys have a stake body and use the hitch mount, so that's how you would determine that. So that's a real quick overview. As we go further along in this project, we will update you guys with how it's going. All right, guys, so what we got here is the truck is back in our welding area, and I'm getting ready to check the bracket to see what kind of adjustments we may need. Now, what you got here, this is the install kit you get with the Mulch Mate DS1000. So, of course, you get an operator's manual, installation instructions, product registration form, and recommended battery sheet. All that's in there, okay? So, deep down in here, see if I can move some of the stuff. There is your bracket, deep down inside there, okay? So what you have to do is dig out all this different cool stuff in here and lay it out on a table. Probably is gonna be the best thing to do. And then I'm gonna pull this bracket out, that bracket there, and we're gonna put it on the back of the truck here and see how she lines up. All right, guys, so at this point, we're gonna go ahead and take these back doors off. First thing you gotta do, take these little cotter pins out, drive these pins out, but before you drive the pins out, make sure you have a guy up inside the truck holding these doors. These doors are very, very heavy, and you don't want these to fall on you. So have your guy hold them, pull the pins out, together, pull it off the truck, set them aside, and that way you can start getting your Mulch Mate all lined up and get it ready to put on the truck. All right, guys, at this point, get the back doors off the truck. It's a good time to take a few measurements. We're gonna measure the ID of the truck, so inside wall to inside wall, just to double check to make sure that's correct. We're also gonna check your height, and we're also gonna take a square and check square between the wall and the floor to make sure that this has been welded properly. Even though they're new, it doesn't mean they're perfect. So we're gonna check that real quick. One of the other things is, once you mount your Mulch Mate up onto the side here, you may end up wanting to put a top brace across the top here. If you tie this wall and this wall together, what's going to end up happening is you're going to spread that force out from the Mulch Mate when you do swing it open. When it's closed, there's really not much force on it. It's when you open it. So right now is a great time to check that. All right, guys, so at this point, just kind of eyeballing this, not really taking quite any kind of measurements here, but typically this line where my thumb is down here, that's going to be about 3/4 of an inch below the floor of the truck. So that's roughly 3/4 of an inch. And I can see, I've got this lip here out about 1/4 inch from the back face, and I can see we got some interference back here, but it's not near as much as I thought. So I don't think I'm going to weld anything. I'm just going to cut it and grind off a little section. And everything else about this looks really good. So I think we're good to go. All right, guys, so we're going to go ahead and cut off this little knob here. It's going to be in our way with our bracket. This is a cutoff wheel. Always use a ferrous blade for steel, non-ferrous for aluminum. Make sure you wear your safety equipment, glasses, hearing protection, all that kind of good stuff, and cut this little sucker off. All right, at this point, we're going to go ahead and grab a hammer and a chisel, and we're going to knock this little bad boy off. After the little guy comes off, we're going to use a little floppy disc, 40 grit, and we're going to smooth down all the cut areas there where we were cutting, and that way the bracket can lay nice and flat against the truck. Alright guys, so at this point I'm going to go ahead and change the blade. Always take the battery out of your grinder or unplug it. Take this sucker off. Put the flappy on. I don't even know what's called flappy, but that's what I call it, so that's what we're calling for today. Make sure it's centered, like so. And then tighten it up. Put your battery in here, grind away. Smooth and flat. It's going to be hot, so don't touch it. do is we're going to go ahead and get I like to use the L-shaped square, lay it on the bed of the truck, extend it out and over. I'm going to show you that in a second. And that's how I'm going to align this bracket on the bottom side here, and that will tell me where I need to put it vertically. And then how I want to put it horizontally is simply based off the back here, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do that here in a second. All right, guys, so at this point now we've got the bracket attached to the side of the truck with this big C-clamp here. It's hung about a ½ inch below the surface of the floor. We have it sticking about a ¼ inch off the back side here on both top and bottom. I've marked every hole that I want to drill a hole at with a silver paint pen. Then you take a punch, go through, punch all those spots, and then drill the holes all the way through your metal. One thing to check on, up underneath here, you want to make sure you have full access to anything underneath here, because you will be putting a nut underneath there. Sometimes, depending on what bed you have, you might have to put the bolt out this way, there's a nut on this side, and you cut it off. That brings me to another point. When you go to put these bolts in, when they come through, those bolts are meant to be long. You're going to have to cut those after you install them, because you don't want it interfering with your deflector panels, your augers, or any material coming through your truck. All right, guys, so at this point, we got the bracket all attached to the truck. 4 bolts on the top. We've actually got 5 on the bottom on this particular truck. What we require is 4 top, 4 bottom, preferably in these upper far corners. On this particular truck, in this location here, there's a brace in the back, and I was not able to get the bolts through there. So I drilled another hole here, and 3 extra holes at the bottom, and put a piece of angle iron in the back, just bolt to the bottom of the truck. So that should be sufficient. Another bolt up here. Now, every one of these bolts, I took our 4½ inch bolt that comes with the kit, and I cut it down to about 1½ inch, beveled the edge, and then put the nut on the back, and that will fit perfect. Some of these areas back here, the 4½ inch bolt is just too long. With these 4 up here, they actually protrude through the back side about 1/2 inch. I'm still going to go ahead and cut those down here eventually, probably sometime after the machine goes on. But they're okay for this for the time being, but they're nice and tight now. We also added an 1/8 inch spacer up on this section here, because this lower section actually sticks out 1/8 inch from this section here, or this face here. So that allows you to keep this nice and square to the side of the truck and keep it square to the back face, as well as I was able to put a 1/4 inch gap between this rear face and the rear face of this bracket here, allowing the machine to sit back just a little bit off the truck, giving you room for these lights so you don't have to remove them. All right, guys, so at this point, we're going to go ahead and pull the truck out of the fabrication area. We're pretty much done with any kind of fab work. Get this mess cleaned up, and we'll get the Mulch Mate attached here in just a second. All right, guys, so at this point, we got the machine up on one of our assembly benches. We're getting ready to go ahead and prep putting the hinge in. The hinge will come in a box. It'll say heavy, big yellow and black sticker on the box. When you pull the hinge out of the box, you're going to insert your bushings that are in your kit, as well as the thrust washers. Now, one of the things you might want to check is the distance on your hinge. Check the measurement on the hinge side, and then check it in here and make sure that this is the same. Sometimes through welding they can creep in a little bit. You may have to take a quarter power, open up a little bit, and be able to slide it in. Now, the reason I tell you this is it's a very, very tight fit. This is a very critical point, so when the machine opens, it doesn't fall and droop. All your droop will most likely come from these locations. That's why this is welded, super thick metal, very, very strong, and that's another reason why this is steel, and the machine itself is aluminum. The steel is very, very, very strong. Okay, guys, so now you're at the point where you need to go ahead and get your hinge prepared to go onto the machine. Now, you have 2 different length shafts that go in this hinge. You have a long side and a short side. The long side is going to be the Mulch Mate side, and the short side is going to be the truck side. So, what you want to do is you want to take a tape measure and measure your hinge. 32 1/8, just shy. Your collars on your bushings are 1/8 inch in the thickness of the collar. So we're going to add an 1/8 inch and an 1/8 inch, and that's going to make it 32 3/8 of an inch. So you're going to come over on the side of the machine. You're going to double check to make sure that this hinge is the correct height or width between 2 posts. And this one looks like it's pretty good. And so what we're going to do now is, now that we have that checked, we're going to go ahead and take our thrust washers. We're going to plop them in place, snap over the bushings. Okay, now you're going to take 2 guys to install this. So what you have to do is you have to hold your thrust washer on the bottom in place. And when you go to stick it in between those 2 plates, it's going to be an extremely tight fit. So don't get frustrated, take your time, be patient, and make sure when you slide this in, it is exactly level with the machine and it slides right into place. It's going to be very, very tight. So at that point, let's go get another guy and let's go install this hinge. All right, guys, so at this point, we got our hinge up on the side of the truck. Like I said, really, really tight fit on the bracket side to the hinge side. This gap is incredibly tight. Little trick, if you ever do need to open this up just a touch, you can literally take a bottle jack and a piece of metal, stick it between here, and spread it open. If you need just a little bit, or you're having an issue or struggling with it, that's a good little tip. Right now, since we have this machine up on a bench, we will get a ladder set up in the back here. This shaft currently is holding this upper section, but down here it's not. Now, one thing that we want you to keep in mind is do not stick your hands or your finger in the holes on either end. If you do, and for whatever reason this hinge shifts, it can hurt your finger severely or permanently. We don't want to see that happen to you. So keep your fingers out of the holes. Don't stick them all the way through. If you want to touch the surface, that's probably okay. But this shaft here, at this point, we're going to take a dead blow hammer. We're just going to tap it all the way down through. And like I said, it's a super, super tight fit. So we're going to take our time, and we're just going to go ahead and knock that little guy through. All right, guys, so we got a dead blow hammer here. We're just going to tap this lightly through here. I'm not going to go all the way. As a matter of fact, once I get it down through here, I don't know, a third of the way, I'm going to have one of my guys, Jamie, come over here and hold the bottom and help me align this bad boy. Come on over, Jamie. So again, Jamie's not going to stick his finger through the hole. He's going to get his finger in there and just barely touch the surface of the hinge. That way he knows that it's all lined up underneath of there. It looks pretty good. Okay, at this point, I'm more than likely right up against the bushing inside the machine. Now, these shafts have a taper on them. I want to make sure that I easily and gently just get it centered and let it drag itself down through there. It's getting a little harder. That's because it's going through 3 different layers of metal, bushing, hinge, and the bracket. And so I'm giving a little bit more pressure. Jamie's just keeping his eyes on it, keeping his fingers out of the way. He's going to try to adjust as I hit this on the very top. How we looking? So at this point, we're going to go ahead and put this safety pin in. Okay, we already opened it up. Comes in your kit. You stick it through here. Give a little tap. And then get it aligned, which looks like it's pretty close. Tap it through. It's that easy, guys. So you're going to leave this in place. Now your hinge is all ready to rock and roll. It's now time to go ahead and put this bad boy up on the truck. Alright guys, so now you have your hinge on your machine. One thing I want to point out is that this hinge has service lockout pins. So if you ever need to open the machine and clean it out or do what you got to do, they typically fall right through here. But you can't use those, put it in there when it's in use because they don't get jammed up. So these pins, right here, these pins belong right here. Right inside the hinge head. So once you have your Mulch Mate on the back of your truck and it's doing its thing, these pins live inside of here. Okay? Just a quick little tip. A lot of guys don't understand that's where they go. That's where they go. Alright guys, so at this point we've got the Mulch Mate on its pallet sitting on our forklift. You guys are more likely to be using a skid loader, that's fine, with some forks. So the hinge is on here. What we're going to do now is we're going to bring the forklift closer, line up everything as best we can, and then drop the shaft in. So put you're going to do now, you're going to take your bushings, you drop the bushing in, okay? You're going to take your thrust washer, drop the thrust washer in here. Now this lower one may fall out, may not. That one's nice and tight. And that one is in. Okay. So, Sam's going to bring this a little closer. Come on forward there, brother man. You're going to need to come this way. Shift the whole thing. So, yep. Now turn to your right. Yep. Keep going, keep going. Keep going. Turn to the right. Right there, good. Now shift towards me a little bit. Okay. Pretty good. Can you come in? Stop. Now come down a little bit. Just a touch more. Right there. Okay. Come on in. Stop. Come down a touch. Okay. Whole thing side shift right. A little bit more. Okay. All right. Now nose up just a touch. Okay. Now come in. Stop. That is the worst bracket I've seen yet. All right, guys, what we have here is a regular old punch, bought it at Lowe's. It's an Irwin. Stick it in the hole. Get yourself lined up the best you can. Twist it just a touch and get the sucker lined up. It's going to take you a couple tries. Then take your pin. Pin in. Now I can see that it's really close. So now that I know it's close, I'm going to take a regular hammer and I'm going to go ahead and tap it through. All right, guys, so now we're just going to go ahead and tap this safety pin through. All right, guys, so at this point, we're on the hinge side of Mulch Mate. This is the driver's side of the truck. First step that you want to get done is there are some bolts on the back side of your hinge here. These are 1/2 inch, the same ones that you use to bolt the Mulch Mate to the truck. They're carriage bolts. So what you do is when you thread those into the threaded holes in your hinge, along with the nut, that is what's going to adjust the machine left to right to keep it centered and square. So there's one bolt on the top side of the hinge here that adjusts the Mulch Mate. As you can take a look up there and you can see, it's right up here. Okay? And now, if you come around this way, there's another bolt located down in this little corner here. That keeps the hinge from moving from the truck side. So the hinge will come around, hit this bolt first, and then the Mulch Mate will swing around, hitting this bolt, and then you latch it, and that's what keeps the whole system centered and square. This is an absolute, one of the most critical things you could possibly do. Here's the reason. If this machine moves left or right for any reason, and the augers come in contact with the truck, the deflector panels, whatever, there is a potential room for a catastrophic failure because the machine is meant for aggregate like mulch, not a steel body. Okay, so it's very critical that you get the machine centered and get these bolts in place so this machine doesn't move. And also, it's really nice. When you drive down the road, it doesn't move left or right. So that's a big part of these bolts. The other major deal is these top bolts here. These top bolts here get installed, and when you do it, you want to have the machine swung all the way open, of course latching it back here to your carabiner, to the machine, to the designated location. And these bolts act as bump stops in this location, and this location. Okay, and that keeps the machine from when you close it, or I'm sorry, when you open it and put it in the stop position and latch the carabiner, it keeps the machine from wanting to slide or move on you. So those are very critical. Look in your instructions and you'll see how all those get installed. And we'll also add a clip here just in a moment. That way you know how to install these bad boys. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and put the lower bracket on. It's pretty simple. All you're gonna do is you're gonna take your speed square and your bracket, Line the bracket up with the machine. Make sure you're pushing up so there's no gap on the bottom and no gap at the back. Put your speed square on your truck. Make sure everything is tight and neat. And then take the paint pen. Oh, I moved it. Take the paint pen. Okay. And go through and mark all 4 spots. And then you're good to go. At this point, you're going to go ahead and take a drill bit, 3/16" drill bit, and your punch all 4 locations, and then take your 3/16 bit, drill all your pilot holes, and then turn around and hit it with 3/8" bit, and then final your 1/2" drill bit. All right, guys, so at this point, the brackets are up on the truck. We've actually kind of jumped a step or 2 ahead here, but we'll explain to you what we're doing here. In your kit, you've got 2 7/16 bolts. Those are your pivots for your 2 latches. The lower latch is gonna have this auto pin on the lower side. The upper side is just gonna have a simple hole, as you can see here, okay? So, once you get all this put together, you put your carriage bolt in from the back out. You're gonna have 2 washers behind it, in between the latch mechanism and the latch plate, a washer on the outside, and then a lock nut on the, eventually on the very outside of the bolt. The trick here is to tighten these down so this operates in a snug condition. You don't want it super loose, super floppy. So once you have all those adjusted out, then you're gonna go ahead and put in your latch handle bracket here. You've got these clevis pins with some safety clips on the back side. Put the pin in from outside in with a washer, 2 washers in between the latch plate and the handle, another washer on the back, and then the safety pin, and that goes for both top and bottom. It is fully adjustable, so you have to line these up, close them, set that in place, put the top one in first, then put the lower one in second. Once this is all in, you're gonna go ahead and attach your spring. Now, a little trick that a lot of guys don't understand or don't know is that if this mechanism, when you go to unlatch it like so, it may not want to stay up, right? It may want to continue to fall down like so. Now, it didn't work that way because the machine's on it. But this spring, if you need to loosen the tension of this guy, just give it a little snug, little tug, excuse me. Little tug, and that will loosen up the tension on this guy just a little bit for you. And if this ever does get weak, you can take this bracket, loosen this bolt, and actually spin it so it's now in a horizontal position, and that'll re-tension that spring after a couple years of use. Once you have this latch plate in place, then you have to work on the hinge side on the opposite side. All right, guys, so now at this point, we're taking a look at the wiring. One of the cool things about Mulch Mate is you do not have to disconnect these wires when you open the machine. So it's real critical that you hang these properly, starting with your harness here. After you get the harness installed into the cab and chassis of your truck, you want to attach this little wire loop with your 5" zinc-coated spring. This allows the system to have a little give, which is really, really nice. Once you have this installed, then you're gonna go ahead and pop rivet your other wire loom bracket here, stainless steel with a rubber coating on it. So once that gets pop riveted in place, you plug it in down there. It only plugs in one way, and then you just let this system droop. Now, when you install your RCA cable, it's very critical that you attach the RCA cable to the negative wire, not the positive wire, because you could get some electrical interference from the positive wire. So always attach it to your negative cable. All right, guys. So last final step. This is your coiled wire. When you get it, it's going to have one end that is not connected. The other end is sealed. You want to make sure you check your 7-pin connector coming out of your truck. A lot of trucks are wired incorrectly, so you need to check that first. We have a diagram included in the kit. Once you get the wire, hook up all your wires correctly inside your cable, plug it in to the bottom of the Mulch Mate, making sure it's latched so it won't fall out. Keep it behind your charging harness, because when it opens up, you want this to pull this way and not pull your harness out. Once that's included or installed, plug it into your truck, and then go ahead and test your lights. All right, guys, one of the last steps of getting your Mulch Mate installed on your truck is installing the ladder. This is one of the last pieces. They are 3/8 bolts, hex head, zinc coated. This ladder just goes right up underneath the truck. You want to keep these back points here located somewhere flush to the back of the machine. It is adjustable, so it is a personal preference, but these guys, as long as they are within the back here, that'll be just fine. So once this is all the way installed, what you're gonna do is you're gonna push and lift up, and that's how the ladder gets unlocked from its locked designated location. So when you wanna put it back, don't just go like that, push it, let it fall down into place, and now it cannot come out. What's happening, everybody? So we just got done doing an install. It actually took a couple days. We were doing a bunch of other stuff, but this install turned out really good. It's on a brand new Dodge. Actually, Dodge had a cool little trick. They had a nice 12-volt switch source under the hood, and if you go online, you can find that information, and it will actually, you'll have a 12-volt switch source that actually is an adjustable deal. So that was really, really cool. Give props to Dodge on that one. But let's take a look at this truck real quick. So you can see, brand spanking new. There's not even a tag on the front of this thing. This bad boy is sweet. So right there is some of the stuff that comes from Dodge. That is our charger, remote, keys, that whole deal, but really, really sweet. Real sweet. So start here. So we got ourselves the carabiner. If I can ever do this one-handed. So this is what you attach the Mulch Mate to when you swing it open. So you latch that bad boy there, stays nice out of the way. Now here she is, boys. So got the nice hinge on the side here, got your wiring all hung up so you don't have to mess with it. That's your charge cable. This is your RCA cable that runs your camera, all zip tied nicely. Got your nice safety pins up here, looking good. These are the new bump stops for the new style hinge. So these bumps swing all the way around and make contact right there. Same with that one. Swings around, knocks into right there. Fully adjustable. Nice thing is we were able to keep the tarp bracket on this side. It clears the bearing, it clears the machine. There's one of your stop bolts that allows the machine to stay in place. You back up here. So you got your plate on the back. Machine looking sweet. You got your coiled cable right there. You got your power or recharge cable there. Looking good, nice and tight. You've got, as you can see, the camera is all lit up. That's for your backup camera. You do this right-handed. Jeez. There we go. That's tight. Got your ladder hanging down so you can climb up into the basket. So that has, the reason I was having a hard time with that, it has a lock on it. So you push it and then it pops down. So that's locked in place. LED tail lights looking fresh. And now the business end. So a couple of little new features that we're starting to integrate. Got this new handle here, zinc coated, solid zinc coated steel with a nice bushing. And when you pull this, it operates that mech up there. Nice solid operation. You got your nice big 5/16 plates there. Safety pull pin, so that always locks out. You got a secondary spot here to put either a pin or your own lock. Got your nice brackets here with your spring, so that's what pulls this whole mechanism up and down. You got your big planetary set up there, and of course you're going to have your chute tray, and then you got a real nice auto latching chute cover. Now something that a lot of guys don't do, that we were trying to make sure they do is you've got this little hole right there, and that's for your carabiner. And that's, of course, you saw in the beginning of the video, it's on the other side. It does not go to this handle. That's for opening. It goes to that spot right there. So that's pretty sweet. Got your nice control panel here. Twist, guys, twist. Take it off. Don't go try yanking this off because it doesn't work. Twist it like they show you. And of course, a nice joystick operation. But that's about it, guys. Oh, here, check out the basket. That's sweet. Tarp comes inside the basket. We don't put it on the truck for you. That's your job to do when you get back to the shop. Got a nice support right here. That support keeps the basket door nice and stable and keeps it from bending. So when you're doing this, you can pull from this corner and that whole door doesn't flex on you. Also, you can tell there's no hardware up along the top anymore. All that hardware is gone. So that looks pretty sweet. Now let's go up inside the truck. Now I want to show you this. This is cool. So you've got this awesome step. That step is the bee's knees. That's sweet. So pull this up. Now let's go inside. I'm gonna climb my big old butt up in here. All right. So now you're in the business end. Of course, you got the Mulch Mate augers, all fresh and clean. Now, this is where I want to get specific for you guys. When the mulch comes through, it needs to deflect itself into the Mulch Mate, and that's what these deflector panels are for, right here. So they're fully adjustable. Got a pin here. So when you pull that pin out, you can slide this back. They rivet into place, right there. If I can ever get it to auto adjust, there we go. And that gets riveted all the way down. And that's what keeps the mulch sliding in nicely. You have these nice zinc coated brackets inside Mulch Mate that are all riveted. They stay with Mulch Mate, and these stay inside the truck. The reason they're adjustable, so say you want to open this truck up and you want to stick two pallets in side by side, you still can, because they are on a plastic hinge right here, all riveted into place. Those are solid rivets on this side, and that allows you to move these in any direction and conform to any truck. So that's a really sweet deal there. Come on, focus, there we go. Okay, last but not least, this is big. So this is UHMW. This is the ultimate setup here. This truck is, I think, 11 foot. You put it on the walls, you put it on the floor, and actually we don't put it on these deflector panels because we actually powder coat these with a wrinkled finish. So actually this is very slick. So that's a nice transfer. And as you can see, the UHMW is over top of the hinge on the deflector panels. So when the mulch comes by, it just slides right across and right into the truck. Another cool thing here is that you have the side door, right? So this side door is actually not flush. It's thinner. So what we did was we added an extra 9 inches from here to here to allow this door to swing all the way open. I can't do it all the way because there's a shelf in the way. But this flap always stays in place, and that way you guys don't have to mess with it. And when you close it, it just falls right into place, and it allows the mulch that's back here to head down and go out and then straight up and into Mulch Mate. So that's a cool little tip there. Now something else when it comes to installing this UHMW, if you notice, the hardware is only back here. There's nothing back here until you get to this final piece. What you do is, since the mulch is heading in this direction, you only need bolts at that end. That allows the UHMW to stay in place, allows the mulch to drag through, and the reason that is, if you notice, there's gaps in all this UHMW. This UHMW will expand, and there's nothing you can do about it, so you just give it some gaps. That's why you see it's kind of floppy in places, and if you notice there's nothing at the bottom, you'll see this guy here is kind of bubbled out. The reason that is because it will expand. So you just gotta let it do its thing, and it'll be just fine. So guys, that's a real quick tour. It's a real quick tour of this truck. This is the Trump truck heading up to York, Pennsylvania. We really enjoyed working on this truck. It did have its challenges, even though it was brand new, but it was really awesome. It looks great. It's gonna function even better, and I hope you guys like this.